In the quiet corners of Toledo, Ohio, where the wind hums through rows of weathered homes and time sometimes feels slow, lived a girl named Kamani Latigue, 13 years old, full of promise. Her name wasn't splashed across billboards or etched into any kind of fame, not until tragedy forced it there. Before all that, she was just Kimani, a teenager, a dreamer, a student, a child quietly trying to navigate a world that hadn't always been kind to her. She lived in a small house on Maumee Avenue, tucked away in a modest neighborhood that most people wouldn't look at twice. Her life wasn't glitzy. She didn't have much, but she made it work. And more than that, she made herself seen, even when the world tried to look past her. Those who knew her say she had a soft presence, gentle, almost whisper-like. But under that softness was a spark. She could be goofy with her friends, cracking jokes and making everyone laugh even on the rough days. Her smile wasn't loud, but it stayed with you. It had a kind of warmth that made people remember. She was the kind of kid who gave hugs every morning to her teacher. Not because she had to, because she wanted to. Because somewhere in her heart, she still believed in connection, in love. It wasn't that her life was perfect, not by any stretch. Kimani was in foster care. She had been for a while. She bounced from home to home, from placement to placement. She learned to adapt, to survive, to make the best of broken situations. And despite everything, she thrived where she could. She made the honor roll. She stayed out of trouble. She kept showing up. But showing up didn't protect her. Hey, would you like to be a part of us on this channel? Click the subscribe button now to join us on Crime Whisper. Turn on your notifications and leave us a like. On May 24th, Kimani left the house and didn't come back. That sentence alone carries a punch. It's short, sharp, but behind it is a hurricane of grief, confusion, and devastation. Her foster caregivers reported her missing shortly after. Maybe at first, they assumed she had wandered off, maybe stayed out with friends too long. That's what adults often assume when a teenager disappears, that they're being rebellious, that they'll show up again in the morning with a flimsy excuse and a half smile. But that's not what happened. Kimani never came home, and even before police started knocking, her friends knew something wasn't right. The ones who walked with her to school every day, they felt the shift in the air. They said she wouldn't just disappear. Not like that. Not without texting. Not without a sign. For days, the community searched. Foot patrols combed through nearby streets, alleys, abandoned buildings. Volunteers posted her picture on telephone poles, in corner stores, across social media. Missing turned into a movement. People started using the phrase, "Bring Kimani home." But time kept ticking. Days passed, and then weeks, and then silence. Until June 5th. On that day, almost 2 weeks after she vanished, police were called to the very same house she had walked out of. Not a strange location, not a hidden warehouse or a remote field, but her own foster home. Inside, they found her, wrapped in a black garbage bag, stuffed in a room. Her body hidden like something shameful, like she didn't matter. She had been dead for days. Maybe the entire time she was missing, she had already been gone. Her cause of death? Blunt force trauma to the head. His name was Darnell Jones. And let's not mince words here. He never should have been anywhere near that child. This wasn't some stranger from the shadows. This was a man with a rap sheet longer than most criminal biographies. A predator with documented histories of violence, sexual abuse, and severe untreated mental illness. He had charges dating back decades: assault, domestic violence, rape. He was known to law enforcement, known to the system. Yet somehow he was still in the home where Kimani lived. According to the official line from Lucas County Children's Services, he wasn't supposed to be there. They claimed he wasn't listed as a resident, that they didn't know. But he was there, living in plain sight, violent, volatile, and mentally unstable. He had been there long enough to kill a child, long enough to cover it up. When police arrived, he didn't fight. He didn't run. He simply existed in the shadows, like he always had, the quiet predator. The system had seen him before, and let him through the cracks every time. After her body was found, something eerie happened. The house, The same house on Maumee Avenue caught fire. Flames erupted, swallowing the structure whole. Investigators came, some called it accidental, others didn't believe that for a second. Because when a house burns down just days after a body is found in it, that's not coincidence, that's symbolic. Some people say it was arson, others say it was a faulty stove. The same one Darnell left on after hiding Kimani's body, maybe hoping it would explode and destroy the evidence. Whatever the cause, the message was clear. Someone wanted to erase the scene, to bury the horror. But fire doesn't cleanse guilt, it only makes the silence louder. This is the part that stings the most. Because Kamani didn't just die because of one man's violence. She died because of a system that was supposed to protect her, and didn't. Lucas County Children's Services marked that house as appropriate for placement. Despite everything, despite the criminal history, despite the warnings, despite the fact that Darnell had assaulted people in that same house before. He didn't sneak in, he wasn't a ghost, he was known, documented, dangerous, and yet nothing was done. Social workers failed, oversight failed. The entire infrastructure of foster care in that region, which is supposed to safeguard the most vulnerable, failed so thoroughly that it might as well have handed Kimani to her killer. They said, after her death, that they would review their protocols. That changes were coming. But Kimani won't see those changes. She needed them before she died. And that's the tragedy we can't shake. What do you think about this tragic event? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section and tell us where you are watching from. Your engagements help us grow this channel. More emotional depth about Kimani's personality and dreams. The legal consequences for Darnell. A look at America's broken foster care system. A final, emotionally powerful tribute to Kimani's legacy. When the news broke, when the community learned that Kimani's body had been found, not in a far-off place, but inside the very house she had lived in, a collective silence fell across Toledo. It was the kind of grief that hits your bones, the kind that stings behind the eyes and leaves you speechless, angry, heartbroken all at once. At Martin Luther King Jr. Academy for Boys, where Kamani was a student, the atmosphere shifted. Teachers couldn't continue class. Some students cried openly at their desks. Others sat frozen, unable to process how someone they had just laughed with, just passed in the hallway, was suddenly gone forever. Her teacher, the one who received those morning hugs, reportedly left her classroom in tears that day. A veteran educator who'd seen too much already, and yet nothing could prepare her for this. You don't expect to bury children, you don't expect to see their faces on in memory of flyers. Kimani was buried on a day when the sun dared to shine, the kind of ironic, painful brightness that feels like the sky forgot to mourn. Balloons were released in her honor, purple and white, her favorite colors. They floated up into the air like tiny prayers carried by the wind, trying to reach a heaven people hoped she had gone to. But there was no peace in that moment. Only rage, confusion, and an aching sense of injustice. It didn't take long for the people of Toledo to start asking questions. Hard ones. How was Darnell Jones able to live in that house without anyone noticing? Why wasn't he flagged immediately? Who approved that placement? Who ignored the red flags? Rallies formed. Advocacy groups emerged. The phrase "Justice for Kimani" started trending on social media, not just in Ohio but across the country. Her story hit something deep, something raw, because everyone knew this could have been prevented. People showed up at the Lucas County Children's Services office, holding signs, demanding accountability. One mother shouted through tears, she was just a little girl, a baby, and you fed her to a monster. The agency released statements. We are cooperating with the investigation. We are reviewing protocols. We deeply regret this tragic loss. But for most, those words meant nothing. They rang hollow, like the sound of a locked door in an empty house. There was no quick fix, no apology that could bring Kimani back. Darnell Jones was arrested and charged with murder. The details of his indictment sent shivers down spines, not just for the brutality of the act, but for the fact that it had taken so long to stop a man who should have never been free. he was also charged with tampering with evidence and abuse of a corpse. Police say he tried to cover it all up, that he left the stove on, that he may have hoped the house would explode and destroy the truth. And when that failed, maybe someone else did the job for him. Maybe the fire that destroyed the house wasn't an accident after all. Regardless of how the fire started, the truth was now in ashes. But the evidence they found, the body, the cause of death, the crime scene, was enough. And yet, for many, even a lifetime prison sentence wouldn't be enough. Because how do you sentence a man for stealing a future? Kimani didn't just lose her life. She lost everything she could have been. The dances she never went to, the graduation she never reached, the career, the love, the family she could have had, all of it, gone. At the center of this storm lies the machine we call the foster care system. A machine built to protect, yet often malfunctioning in the worst possible ways. Children like Kamani enter the system hoping for safety, but too often they find chaos instead. Overworked caseworkers, understaffed departments, underfunded agencies, inadequate screenings, background checks rushed or ignored. Foster care is supposed to be a refuge. Instead, it can become a trap. And in Kimani's case, that trap was fatal. Darnell's record should have disqualified him from being within miles of a foster child, but somehow he slipped through. Somehow, the paperwork didn't match the reality. Somehow, those who were supposed to keep track of her safety didn't. This wasn't just an oversight, it was systemic negligence. You can't call it a tragedy if it was preventable. It wasn't just that she died, it's that every step leading up to her death was avoidable. Let's step away from the crime for a moment. Because before she became a headline, before she became a statistic, before she became a case file, Kimani was a person. She loved music, especially R&B. She used to hum in the hallway on her way to class, always a little offbeat but full of joy. She liked writing too. Her teacher once said that Kimani wrote a short story about a superhero foster kid who rescued other children from bad homes. It was whimsical and sad at the same time. Looking back now, it felt like a coded plea for help. She loved sweet things, chocolate milk, gummy bears, birthday cake-flavored ice cream. She hated the dark. Always asked for the hallway light to be left on at night. She had dreams of becoming a nurse. So I can help people, she said. Because even when she was hurting, her instinct was to help others. She had a laugh that could make you laugh, even if you didn't know why. She had a habit of carrying around a little notebook where she'd write random thoughts and quotes she heard. On the last page, they found a sentence she had copied from a book. Sometimes, when nobody listens, you have to scream silently, and that's what she did. Screamed in silence. The truth is, Kamani isn't the only one. There are thousands of kids in foster care across America right now, just like her. Vulnerable, voiceless, trapped in a system that promises safety, but often delivers survival at best. Some are in homes where love lives. Others are in homes where danger hides behind doors no one opens. And every time one child dies, we all lose something. A piece of innocence. A piece of faith in the systems we trust. A piece of our collective conscience. We can't bring Kimani back, but we can fight like hell to make sure no other child suffers her fate. We can demand better screening for foster placements, more transparency, mandatory surprise inspections, community watchdog groups, foster youth mentorship, mental health support for foster parents and children alike. It's not just about fixing the system, it's about rebuilding it. From the ground up. There's no monument for Kimani yet, no bronze statue, no scholarship fund. But in the hearts of those who knew her, and now, even in the hearts of those who didn't, she lives on. She has become a symbol, not of victimhood, but of urgency. She reminds us that children don't need perfection, they just need protection. That you can't pretend to care after it's too late. She reminds us that every child who slips through the cracks has a name, a face, a story. And now her name echoes, not just in Toledo, not just in Ohio, but across the country. People are saying it, sharing it, demanding justice in her name. She will not be forgotten. Conclusion. For Kimani, there's a quiet street in Toledo where a little girl used to live, where she laughed, loved, hoped, and vanished. There's a house that no longer stands, but its ashes still whisper a story. The story of a child who never got the chance to grow up. This isn't just a true crime story. It's a wake-up call. A scream from the other side of the system. And we hear it now. We see her now. Kimani Latig was not just another girl. She was our girl, our sister, our student, our warning. And in telling her story, maybe we save another. Maybe the next child's ending will be different. Maybe this time, someone will listen. Thanks for watching Crime Whispers. If this story gripped you, like, comment, share. And don't forget to subscribe for more disturbing true crime stories that lurks in plain sight. Thanks for watching.